let me, talking about Pyar Se Samjhayenge, I want to come back to the Rahul Gandhi question because, you've interacted with him in whatever limited fashion because, you briefed the Parliamentary Committee on External Affairs. He's a member. And he had recently said in England, while he was in England, that he drew this analogy between Ukraine and Ukraine and Arunachal. And he also said that I said this to the minister, and the minister said it's a ludicrous idea. Your comments on that, did that happen? Do you?
And the minister said what?
That it was a ludicrous idea.
Ludicrous. Okay.
Ludicrous idea.
Okay.
And also I want your general impressions of him because you've interacted with him, you briefed the members.
Look, we are not by etiquette and I guess by rules supposed to discuss what happened in a consultative committee meeting. So if he referred to it, in my view, he should not have. I certainly will not talk about what happened in a consultative committee meeting. But let's look at the substance of the issue, because he has said that on public record. Forget about the fact that there was a consultative committee meeting for a moment. The comparison is between what China did vis-a-vis India in 2020 and what is happening today in Ukraine. Okay. What is today happening in Ukraine, if you follow the two sides, one would say that they are threatened by the expansion of NATO and the character of the regime in Ukraine. And the other one would, the Western countries would say the Russians have ambitions, expansionist designs, whatever it is. What is the analogy between that and India-China? I mean, what happened in the border, which, by the way, is, in my view, completely indefensible. So don't get me wrong there. That has nothing to do, there's no NATO in play here. There's no regime character in play here. So I just don't see the comparison.
So tell me, since you mentioned China, where are we on this, the border confrontation that happened? I mean, I believe out of the 7 odd points, 5, there has been disengagement, 2, there is still no disengagement. Just a broad understanding that, do you believe this has gone beyond the remit of army commanders? This has to be a political sort of dialogue and eventually moving to resolve the situation?
Look, first you have to understand what is the nature of the problem. The nature of the problem is that two militaries who generally were not 24/7 deployed at or on or very close to the LAC have done so to a great degree after May of 2020. Because pre-May of 2020, both militaries were primarily located in the depth areas where they had permanent bases, and then they would patrol out into the LAC. Now, in 2020, the Chinese breached that in violation of the 93-96 agreements, brought forces to the LAC. Obviously, we countered it. They stayed there, we stayed there. So as a result, you have a very, very intricate situation of very multiple close-up deployments, which by common sense sort of military assessment is a very dangerous situation to be. And that danger, of course, was, we had to caution them. And then, of course, Galwan happened, which only was proof that, how volatile the situation could be. Now, in this, we have, I met my counterpart in September 2020. He accepted that this was a dangerous situation. And since then, we've been trying to pull back the close-up deployments, not close-up deployments, the close-up forward deployments. But it can only be done if there is a mutual agreement. Because in the past, there have been occasions when quite honestly, without revealing confidences, we may have made some such unilateral move and we found it was not necessarily responded to by the other side. So everything that we have done is on the basis of what we call the principle of mutual and equal security, which means, if we move back here, you will move back there. So now again, some canards have been floated that, oh, buffer zones have been created in our patrolling areas. If I'm not able to patrol somewhere, he's also not able to patrol on that area. So it's, whatever we have been done is mutual, it is negotiated. Now, this is still unfinished work. There are places where we have this forward deployments. We continue to work away at it. I will only remind you when this started in the summer of 2020.
Yeah.
If you took the cumulative analysis of this city, people told me this, we're not going to get a solution. The Chinese are going to do this, there's nothing you can do. I would say, please look at the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
My sense is the military has done what the military should do. The military has deployed. The military deployed in the COVID. The military has deployed round the year. The military is deployed through the winter. The military is deployed at great heights.
Yeah.
And secondly, the military and diplomacy has worked in lockstep. Now, your question, should you not leave it to military commanders? First of all, it has never been left entirely to military commanders. The military commanders and the diplomats work as a team. Now, you cannot, to take away the military commanders is ridiculous, because the military commander is a person who knows the troops, who knows the topography, who actually knows what is mutual and equal security, which by the way means it's not like the distance on the map. There are many other factors which come into being. So I would say, actually, in the last 3 years, this combo of military diplomacy and diplomacy working in lockstep has made progress. I accept that, we have not been able to sort everything out, but I also tell you that I have not, it's not like for me the end of the road. We will keep at it. When I met the new foreign minister, Chingang, in, Delhi on the sidelines of G20, it was something that we discussed. So it is work in progress, and I would certainly like to see more progress.
Since you mentioned you met the new Chinese foreign minister, there seems to be a bit of a change in Chinese diplomacy, if you will. You're seeing the moves that they're making vis-a-vis Iran and Saudi Arabia. They've also floated this 12-point peace plan with Ukraine. What do you make of it in general terms? Do you think that China is trying to play a major global role? And do you think that they're trying to sort of fill in a void they believe the US is leaving behind?
Look, no question that if you take any metric in the last 20, 25 years, I would say maybe even last 40 years, in many ways, China has gone up. So have we. Yeah. Okay. Maybe not at the same pace. Frankly, if we had honestly had this government, I know this is a very biased statement, but if we had had a government like this 25, 30 years ago, maybe we would have gone up faster. But at least today, if you look at the progress in the last decade, do also see that just like China's reach and influence and equities grow, ours too are growing. But in this particular case, what you are mentioning, I think you have a very complex regional problem in which obviously China is involved. The parties have found China useful in whatever that they are doing. And that is something which is a fact.